This was started, the NDIS was started by Labor with very, very vague terms, extremely vague terms, and lofty goals put out there. And then the Liberals came along and decided to try and fill it. And we had a wild, unplanned, grand vision with no substance. And this is now open to abuse while not supporting the very people it was meant to support. We must support, we need to support people with services and physical support to the vulnerable and the downtrodden in our society. One Nation is in favour of that. But instead of doing that, under the Liberal-Labor duopoly, we have now created a monster, created an industry. And at the core of this bill is the abuse of privacy, because there seems to be open access to records. As I said, Mr. Acting Deputy President, and as a servant to the people of Queensland and Australia, I want to look after the taxpayers of our country while also making sure that the needy and the vulnerable are taken care of. We now have $2 billion per annum in providers, 10,000 providers. Who audits this? Who controls it? Who oversees it? Who gives it direction? There seems to be a lack of direction. And yet the needy suffer. I know from experience with a constituent in Toowoomba who had a scheme that took her many years to look after her son, to bring her son proper care and give themselves a break as carers, sorted out with the Queensland State Government. And that has failed to be replicated. It has just withered and died. And they are not getting the care, they are not getting the support that they need and to which they're entitled and to which Liberal and Labor have promised. And yet we hear other stories of incredible wastes of money, people just doing menial jobs and without any real service being provided, people just getting money off the taxpayer for nothing. And I'm not talking about the needy, I'm talking about the consultants, I'm talking about the labourers that feed off this empire, this growing empire. We are giving money in bucket loads to those who don't really need it while withholding it from those who do need it. It's becoming hugely extortionate, and there is no accountability. We used to have, under competitive federalism, accountability from the various states competing to provide better services. But now we see the opposite, and we see the state governments withdrawing from providing disability protection and disability care and services. Mr. Acting Deputy President, One Nation proudly supports and stands for the vulnerable and needy, and for having a fair go for all Australians and for giving all Australians a fair go, including taxpayers. We will not be supporting this bill because it just continues to magnify the industry that is growing like topsy and that has no accountability, leaving the taxpayers vulnerable while not supporting the needy. We want to see some real accountability come into this, not open slather on the privacy of many individuals. Thank you, Mr. Acting Deputy President.